Hey crafty friends, welcome to my final challenge for level 1 for the Altenew Educator Certification Program. I'm so excited to share my cards with you today, although I had some problems recording the her set, as you will see. I'm gonna start by showing you what I have created so far. I used one of my simple backgrounds and arranged some flowers on there. I have a background where I stamped with an acrylic block and then arranged my flowers and used the string as the stems, and I'm gonna add the sentiment right onto the strings. I'm gonna start working with this card, which is not finished yet. I have gold splatter on the background, I have black and white flowers adhered already, and I want to add the string. This one is a little bit dimensional. I left a little bit of space there in the center for my sentiment, and we are going to get right into it. I'm going to get into fast forward mode so this video won't be 2 hours long. So I'm starting to adhere that background onto a card base, just arranging it slightly. Liquid glue helps a lot, and then using a big acrylic block to make sure that everything stays in place and gets adhered properly. I had these flowers adhered already, and then while my plan was to just put the string under these two flowers on the left and on the right, but I noticed that the string was a little bit too thick, so I did what I had to do. I took off those flowers again, and I had to pop them up with a little bit of foam adhesive. And of course, as you can see, it ripped a little bit of the flower that's on the bottom. But I knew that once I put everything back into place, you will never notice that I tore any paper underneath those two flowers. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So again, pop that second flower up with some foam adhesive, and this gave the string much more space to be, put underneath the flowers. So the plan here really was just to have that string under those two flowers and then add a sentiment in the center so that you see the string on the left and on the right side of the card. I had to pop up my sentiment as well, and then the accident happened. My camera flipped, as you will see in a little bit, and I could not use the material that I had on there. All I really did was add the sentiments that you can see on the top there on my video onto my cards, and I will show you the final cards in just a few moments. And there you go, there my camera flipped over and my video was destroyed. So here's a look at my final cards for my her set. Very female, I would say, with the pinkish colors. I loved creating these flowers, and in between, when I had everything, all the parts created, I was always, looking how I can arrange the flowers. Love the Adore You set was very, very helpful with the die set and the stamps. Also creating the faux watercolor pieces and the splatter on the background. Love the simplicity of that. Like when creating, or when I was in the process of just playing around, putting flowers in places, rearranging them, I always took photos in between so that I could go back to what I had in my mind when I was playing around with the placement of the flowers and leaves, and also the sentiments. Love that. So next up is the his set, and guess what? I have a full video of the creation of these cards, and I'm looking forward to share this with you. So for his set, the colors are more male, bluish, and also black and white. And I'm starting off by adhering a piece of cardstock which has a splatter on it, metallic ink splatter from Altenew, and I have flowers die cut from it, or the shape of the flowers. So I got these two backgrounds here that are almost identical, except the one at the top, or now on the left, has gold splatter on it. I masked the flowers off and added gold splatter, and I'm thinking that I like the black and white flowers better on the splattered background, so I'm going with this one. I'm adhering my flowers down with liquid adhesive again, and I leave the bottom right flower, like I'm not adhering that one, because in my mind I thought I could use the top left flower once I've cut it and add that piece to the bottom right, but it did not work out. I'm adding the bluish flowers to this card just in the open spaces, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm leaving the bottom right flower, thinking I could use the top left flower, but it's not gonna work. For my my third card, I wanted to arrange some of the blue flowers in like kind of outer circle, leaving space in the center for the sentiment, but I wasn't too sure, so I just moved that aside again and turned to my fourth card. Here I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do stamping with an acrylic block and the fresh dye inks. I'm using Greenfield here first, adding it to an acrylic block. I'm just using 2 layers of that, not too much. The fun thing with this stamping technique is that you never really know what you get, and it's just fun. I'm using a 3rd layer of Olove on here just once, and then using the rest for a little bit of splatter. Love how easily you can create backgrounds, and I think this color combo also goes very, very well with the flowers. So as you can see, I'm always switching between the cards. When one card is drying, I'm turning to the next one, and here you just saw that my mind was not working properly, so I had to use a complete flower and adhere it to the bottom right corner. The same thing for this card. I cut off the top left corner, thinking I could use that part on the bottom right corner, but no, I had to use one more flower on that card. The background I just created, I cut down, taking off 0.5 inches from each side. No, not from each side. Making it slightly smaller than my card base. I think I cut off 0.25 inch from each side. Yeah. So adding foam adhesive to my flowers, arranging them here, and I'm thinking horizontal, vertical, 3 flowers. I don't know. I think 5 flowers would be so much better, and I went with that. And I think because of the background, the color, the flowers here really pop, and I adhered them with foam adhesive, and then got out my recycled piece of string again to create the stems, which I think is such a fun way to, a fun thing to add to a flower, giving it a little bit of, you know, texture. It just, I think it looks cool, and I love this idea. And it's also a great way to recycle things that you have in your home. So foam adhesive here is also necessary to be able to put the string underneath the flower. I just added a little bit of liquid adhesive, just pressed it down for a little bit to make sure it stays in place and connects to the glue. And it's also fun that you can arrange your string how you want it, so that there's also a little bit of variation. Loving that. I think if I would have made my little card panel there a little bit smaller, you could even leave the strings hanging over. That would be kind of fun too. But in a little bit you will see me that I just cut them right down at the card edge. So in between cleaning up my space, and I'm finally ready to cut off the flowers that are hanging over my card here. So continuing, thinking, and I always love how I move my right hand when I'm thinking. I'm thinking. So, touching my cards, just feeling them, trying to feel them. And I have one more card left, and I'm using one of my backgrounds here that I created with the stamps from the Adore You stamp set, and I'm arranging the black and white flowers here to create again a circle and some space in the center. I also created lots of green leaves with the fall watercolor technique, and of course I wanted to use them, and I thought black and white and green would go very well, but then decided how fun would it be to use the leaves as like the second layer on that bluish card, or sending hugs card I can call it now, because that sentiment stays there. And that's what I do, because you know the blue flowers are like inlaid, and the leaves are like on top of that layer. So that's kind of fun, and I'm sticking with that idea because I kind of like it, and I'm going to adhere those leaves down because hey, I like it, so let's just go with it. So I'm always using acrylic blocks to, when I adhere something, as it just helps the pieces to stay in place. And then I finalize my vision of that card and adhere my black and white flowers down onto that background. Most of my cards, or most of my card bases are top folding cards. So I'm using my card bases on all of my backgrounds that I've created, but decided for the guy cards that I'm just gonna, you know, turn them horizontal so that you open them horizontally. Yeah. So adding that background to my card base, moving it out of the way, continuing with the gold splatter and black and white flowers background, deciding to go with Love You Friend, gold embossed on black cardstock. And I'm kind of liking the switching between the cards. Again, while one is drying, I can work on the other one. I just love that. So I just cut off the leaves that were hanging over my card base here, and then decided to add a little bit of dimension to my sentiment here. Sending hugs, gold embossed on white cardstock. And for the Love Your Friend, I decided that I need a little bit of dimension on the left side of the sentiment, because that black and white flower is has a little bit of dimension. So I just used a scrap piece of paper and adhered it to the left side of my sentiment to give that little bit of extra dimension that you need. And I mean, I cut off a lot of things, so I have scraps. So 2 cards are now finished. Now that the sentiments are down. 3rd one, just using liquid adhesive here, and that sentiment is adhered to the strings mostly, not to the background of the card. With this card, I was like thinking, Altenew does not want like replicas of cards, so I decided to make something special with this card. And when I looked at my card base, I kind of like thought, well, let's just cut it from the top left to the bottom left. Let's make a diagonal cut, and that's what I did. And there's just a little piece of flower that I had to cut in the middle, but it was almost like perfect, you know, like it was meant to be cut in the center. I'm using a pencil to create the line I need to cut off from my card base, using a craft knife, and just adhering it down right away with liquid adhesive again, just so that I can move things around. The second part of the card, of the background, I'm gonna adhere to the inside of the card. So when you hold the card, it looks, I think it looks normal, and then when you open it, because the sentiment is adhered only to the bottom part of the card, it's a really fun effect, I think. Adding another die cut piece to the back, just to give it a little bit more strength. And here's my final and 4th card. So now let's take a closer look at all 4 cards. You can see the splattered background, the dimension of the black and white flowers because they are adhered on top. Love the gold embossed sentiment on black cardstock. This card is again inlaid die cutting, so I had the background, cut out the flowers, and then added the flowers into the negative again, and adding the leaves on top for a little bit of dimension. Love that. This is probably my favorite card from the set. I love the greenish background and the flowers with their funky stems, and You're the Best, gold embossed on white cardstock. I love the idea I had with this card. I think it's really cool, something different that you can easily do with your cards. Love this effect. I really hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you enjoyed these cards, and take care, and see you next time.